Okay, everybody, now that we've started using the Probuilder tools, I think it's time that I show you the Unity Asset Store. So go ahead and open up your web browser, go to Google, you can punch in Unity Asset Store, it should be the first result right here. And there are all kinds of assets here. You can get 3D models, textures, music, sound effects. A lot of them you do have to pay for, but there's also a lot of free stuff that we can find here too. So right now I want to look for seamless textures. So just type in seamless textures like that. And then we're going to go to right here where it says pricing. Just open that little menu there and you see there's a checkbox for free assets. That way we don't have to worry about spending any money. We can just get free assets, okay? And as you can see here, there are a bunch of free assets that you can use, a bunch of different texture packs. Feel free to use any of them. I'm going to use the realistic ones right here. So we just click on the asset, we take a look at it, and then we click on Add to My Assets. And now if you're not logged in, it's going to ask you to log in. So I'm going to go ahead and punch in my information and log in. Okay, so now once you log in, that button should say Open in Unity. Go ahead and click on that. It's going to say Choose Application. We're going to choose to open the link with the Unity editor. Now this will open in Unity. And then once that loads up, we'll see the Import button right here. So go ahead and import that. It'll show you the full list of all the assets that are going to be imported. Just click import. We're going to take everything. And then that will load into your assets folder. Alright, then we can close this window and you can see now here are our new seamless textures that we just downloaded from the Unity Asset Store. Let's go ahead and take a look at the materials specifically. And we've got aluminum, brick, two different types of dirt, we've got grass. You can see we've got an entire folder full of new materials. And if we look at these materials, they also have normal maps and height maps applied to them as well. So they're going to look nice when they reflect off light. And let's go ahead and just drag one onto our object like normal. And then we'll play the game and see what it looks like, okay? And there you go. You see we've got a texture here now. Looks way better than it did before, right? But I'm going to show you something else. I'm actually going to just delete this cube. So this is something that we should get used to, is deleting things that we don't need anymore. I don't need this cube anymore, so goodbye. And we're actually going to create an entirely new cube. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the Probuilder window and create a new shape. It's just going to be a basic cube like that. And I'm going to set the scale to all 4. Personally, it's just the size that I like to use when I'm working with the Probuilder tools. I'm going to set the position to all 0. And I will press F to focus on the new shape. And I'm going to switch to face selection. And there's something I want to show you that I talked about in the last video, and I want to get into more detail now, and that is snapping, grid snapping. So let's go to Edit, go to Grid and Snap Settings. So right now our move is set to 0.25. You might remember that in the last video I showed you that if you hold in Control while you move a face, it will move in increments of 0.25. So if we look over here at the object size, you'll notice it changes in increments of 0.25 if I hold in Control and move it. Do you notice that over here? Now unfortunately we can't set these numbers manually. I can't just punch in 50. It won't let us do that. It's read only. See, it says right there, read only, which means we can't enter our own numbers. But what we can do is use the grid to help us out. So for example, since the scale of my object is 4, if I set the move for the grid to 4 and I hold in Control when I scale or when I move the face here, it it will move by one whole cube at a time. See how that works? If I wanted smaller increments, I could set it to 1. Of course, I can set it to even larger increments. If I wanted 8, we can go by 2 cubes at a time. Alright? For now, I'm going to leave it set to 4 because my scale is also 4. I'm going to close the grid snap window, and this new cube that we've created, I'm going to stretch it out, let's see, to about 80. So when the object size X says 80, I think that's a good size for the floor. We're going to do the same thing with this face. We're going to grab it, we're going to hold in control, and we're going to stretch it out until the Z says 80. Just like that. Alright? So now we should have a cube, and the object size should say 80 by 4 by 80. The scale should be 4 by 4 by 4. Position 0, 0, 0. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you is the material editor over here in the Probuilder window. It's the material editor. Let's click on that. And here we can assign different materials that we can use on our shapes. Now sure, we can drag the materials on like I showed you before, like we've been doing, but it's more efficient if we use the material editor, okay? So I would take my brick material, drag it here into the second place. I leave the first place for the default material. Alright, so I'll put the brick in my second place. I'll click on the object in object selection mode, so we have the entire object. And now I click on this button right here, and it will assign that material to this object, okay? Now I want to show you something else. I'm going to drag in a different material here for slot 2. Now let's say I wanted just the top part of this to be a different material. We can do that by selecting the face. So go to Face Selection, click on that face, and then click on our other material here, or you can press Alt-3, either way. And now you can see we've got 2 different materials on the same object. This is a very useful tool for designing objects in your level, okay? So keep that in mind. For now, I'm going to make the entire object be wood, just like that. And I'm going to close the material editor for now, and I'm going to rename our floor to floor. And I'm going to drag it into the level, and I'm going to mark it as static, tag it as level, and layer it as ground. That way our player can jump on it. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is make another new shape. This is going to be a wall, so let's just call it wall. Let's go ahead and set the scale to 4 by 4 by 4. And then I'm going to actually vertex snap this down to the floor. So remember to vertex snap, we hold in V on the keyboard and just move the object, and you can see now it is vertex snapped to the floor. And actually I'm going to snap it by this vertex so it overlaps the floor. I don't want it sticking over the edge, okay? And I'm going to grab one of the faces right here, holding Control, and drag the face out until it's as long as the floor is. There you go. So by using the grid, we can make sure that everything's the same size, nice and easy. Alright? And because I want to make windows in this wall, I actually want to lower it down, but I want to lower it by a smaller increment. So what we do is go to Edit, go to Grid and Snap Settings, and I'm going to set this back down to 1 for now. And then I'm just going to drag this down, holding Control, and lower it by 1 snap. See? Just by 1. Alright? Now I'm going to set my Grid and Snap settings back to 4. And I am going to go back to Object Selection, click right there. Now we have the entire object selected and not just a face. I'm going to open the material editor right here, and I'm going to assign the brick material to this object. Alright, I'm going to close the material editor, and I'm actually going to duplicate this object. So press Ctrl D to duplicate. I'm going to vertex snap it up on top of the other one, and I'm going to do that one more time so that now I have a stack of 3 of these bricks. Okay, and now what I'm going to do with the center one, I'm going to go back into face selection, and I'm going to grab one of the faces, the one in the front here, holding Control, and pull this face back. That should be good, right about there. You can see the Z says 20. It's a nice even number. It's divisible by 4, so I like that. Alright, I'm going to go back into Object Selection. I'm going to press Ctrl D to duplicate this portion of brick. Now we have another one. And I'm going to vertex snap it to the front portion of the wall. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is grab all of these wall pieces right here, and I'm going to Control D, duplicate them, and I'm going to drag them over to this side of the level, and I'm going to use the vertex snap again, so hold in V and vertex snap it to the floor so it's nice and even. Now we've got 2 walls. This is starting to look like a structure, right? Alright, now I'm going to grab this wall right here, press Ctrl D to duplicate it. I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis 90 degrees. Alright, and now this is going to be used for our front wall, but I'm actually going to go into face selection, grab this face, and shorten this wall. So holding Control and drag it this way, and I think right about there should be good. Alright, go back into Object Selection. Alright, I'm going to grab this and vertex snap it right here. And then I'm going to Control D to duplicate it. I'm going to vertex snap that right there to the top. And I'm going to duplicate it once more and vertex snap it right in the middle. Go back into face selection, take this face and drag it a bit shorter. Back into object selection, hold in V to vertex snap it to the edge. That way I've got a bit of a window in the front as well. Alright, and now I'm going to grab all of these wall sections that I've just created, Control D to duplicate them, drag them to this side. I'm going to vertex snap it to the wall, grab this center piece right here and vertex snap that to the correct side. Alright, and now I'm going to duplicate this floor piece here. We're going to pull it all the way to the back. I'll press F to focus on it. I will vertex snap it to the back wall. There we go. Okay. And I'm not going to put any windows in the back wall. So I'm going to grab the face right here, face selection, holding Control, and drag it all the way to the end. I'm going to grab this face on the top, and we want to drag this face up to be even with the wall. But before we do that, we have to go back to the grid and snap settings, which right now it's all set to 4. We want to set that back to 1. And now holding Control and drag this face up until it's even with the wall. See right there. Alright, now we've got a room with 4 walls. Some of the walls have windows, and we have an entrance. Let's press the play button and just see what it looks like real quick. Alright, not too bad. We've got a nice little room going on here. We've got our items strewn about the level. We'll worry about those later. The next thing I want to do is create a roof for this room. Alright, so let's grab our floor. Make sure we're in Object Selection and press Control D to duplicate it. Let's drag it up top. Hold in V to Vertex Snap it to the wall. And I want to make it a different texture, so let's open our material editor, and I'm going to make this be brick. Alright, and I want to make it look a little different, so a little trick I'm going to show you here. Let's grab an edge, so let's do edge selection. Just grab this edge right here, holding Control, and let's move this in 5 snaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, let's go over to the other side and do the same thing, holding Control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 snaps. Alright, so that gives us a little bit of a nicer angular edge to our house or our room, or actually it looks more like a bunker. Let's call it a bunker. How's that? Alright, so now we have a room set up, and we could do some other stuff too. We could grab the face of the floor right here, and let's see, we can extrude this out a little bit. Let's go ahead and hit extrude, and I'm going to just pull this forward a little bit, holding in Control. And now let's go ahead and grab this face right here, and let's make it be grass. So let's go back to our material editor right there, click on that. Let's drag grass in here, and let's assign grass to this face. So just press that button there, and now we've got grass here. So I'm going to press the play button, close the material editor, press the play button, and we're going to walk around our room a little bit. So yeah, we've got a nice wooden floor, we've got brick walls, we've got grass out here. It's looking pretty good. We're getting some progress here. So in the next video, I'm going to start showing you how to find more assets to put in your level and how to make it look even better than it does now. But for now, just go ahead and try to get a room set up. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, but just do something similar to what I've shown you here, and get familiar with using these materials and have fun with it. I'll see you guys in the next video.